Hey everybody, welcome back to Al-Asad. This is Frank Perrin, and today I'm here to give you a bit of an update and kind of talk about one of the weapons that I've been doing some research on, right? As you know, Al-Asad is first and foremost a group focused in experimental archaeology. And we like to use our historical sources that we have to back up our experiments. And one of the weapons I've been experimenting with a lot lately, mainly because I'm a spear guy, is the Sainti, or the Indian parrying spear. So, what inspired me to look into this, besides the fact that I'm a spear guy? Well, the fact that it looks like something that actually has a lot of practicality. Okay, now there's some amazing weapons that come out of India and the Indian subcontinent. And sometimes people who don't really understand the flow and function of the weapons and the context of their use don't think they're very functional, right? They look almost comedic. However, I think the Saintie is a very, very different animal in that context. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a picture of it right up here on the screen. So yeah, that's the Saintie, and they average anywhere between 25 and 35 inches long. So I knew that there was going to be a lot to play around with when I first started experimenting. So what I did was I took a haft, put a cold steel spearhead on it, and I put a door handle right in the middle. And I aired with the longer side here just because some of my single-handed spear experience has been with with longer single-handed spears. Okay, and when I've been experimenting, I have been pairing this with a tulwar. And the practicality of this to me comes in mind with a few things. First off, single-handed spears aren't that unusual throughout the world, right? We see them all the time. Secondly, it's an extension of stick, right? And stick fighting is common to the region. Stick fighting is common everywhere. So I don't see why just putting a pointy end on something and using it to parry is that far out of the ordinary. Secondly, of all of the Indian weapons that have this D guard on them, I think the spear makes some of the most sense, especially when you are single handing it, right? Especially when you are up close and personal, right? Yeah, you're going to have some distance with this, right? But you also have to get a little bit closer by sheer fact that this is not a very long spear. So why not have a guard, right? The guard can allow you to do a few fun things. Protect your hands, but I've also noticed, it can also protect your hands when you come in, but can also help you protect your hands if you need to be a little more offensive. You will need to actually use the use the spear actively to defend against oncoming weapons and stop them from having that skate through, especially like if it's a sword, right? You can really punch in and stop things from moving through with this handguard. I also think there's some chances that you have to be able to guide and deflect things, right? Especially if you choose to use this, not necessarily pointing forward, but a little straighter up, right? Like you can guide and deflect oncoming strikes with that handguard across. So I think it's actually a very, very functional aspect of a spear. I chose one on the longer end of things simply because a lot of the people that I fight against are Hema people, and with them being longsword people, I would like something to give me a little bit of range in my parries. And I chose to pair this with the tulwar because the tulwar is a sword we've been looking at and incorporating aspects such as the Indian clubs in understanding its flow and its cutting mechanics. And then I was looking at some of the targeting areas and some of the blocking areas that are shown in living traditions like Kalari Payatu. So I've been flowing around with this combination in accordance to some movements with the sword using the Indian clubs, and then using some of the stuff I've seen in Kalari Payatu. for this. Now, let's not just forget, right, that separs or dolls are very active defense weapons, right? You see us how we've used these separs, and we don't just hide behind them, where when oncoming blows happen. We use them to meet the opponent, step in and meet the opponent. And I was thinking about that a lot with this spear, along with the handle. So there's a few things so far I've noticed that are effective with this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the video intermittently so you can see some of the movements that I've been playing around with. But what this leads me to believe is, obviously as a parrying spear, we're going to be keeping this out in front of us. And what's great about this is that you've got a whole plethora of ways that you can defend yourself with this, right? You can defend, block straight out to your side, right? Meet them up at a slope or a diagonal, right? You've also got the ability to use this back end here. You can just sweep and deflect over if you need be, right? You've got all these options with both the front end and the back. And what's great is if you catch a block with this, then you're nice and online to deliver a nice little thrust. And even if you don't, that's a pretty scary thing to kind of always have in front of you if you are fighting it. So the second thing with the Tolar is this is a great pairing, because if you can use this spear to deflect and block, right, and then move in, the Tolar succeeds very well at very, very, very close quarters cutting. So if you can bind up your opponent's weapon in the spear and move in and trap their weapon hand, you can really light someone up with the Tolar, right? It also allows you to come in and deliver some devastating thrusts if your opponent's not expecting it. Right? So I think the fair assumption with this, based on my experimenting so far, is that this is an exceptional way to defend your line with something that's cheap to reproduce, if need be, right? It's a weapon that if you already know it, your skills are adaptable to just picking up a sword. And this is really going to save your blade, right? Let's say like you don't have a shield, or if you specifically choose this option, right? You really don't want to parry a ton if you can help it with weapons like Tolar or Shamashir, right? Because you want to keep that edge as preserved as possible. But if you have something like this, that's really going to preserve this edge and keep your weapon nice and sharp. So that's just my take on the Saintie so far. I have yet to pressure test it a ton. I did it a little bit last year with a fight I did at the Higgins Armory Museum with it. But it's my goal this year is to get out and fight some more and see how this combination behaves with what we know. So if anyone's got any other suggestions, any ideas, please, I encourage you to leave them below in the comments. And as a spear guy, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of chaos I can cause up here with the Saintie. So, as always, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, and we'll see you next time on Bite Al-Asad. Thank you.